Alright guys, I gotta put this O2 bung in here. Just pull this off of the Blazer. As I said, I'm no fantastic welder, but I'm trying. I'm just a down home guy like y'all and doing it on the budget. But so you see, I got my black mark right here. This pipe was already in the Blazer, mocked up. I measured out. Holly says about 18 inches from the turbo. So I measured out to 18 inches, which comes here, and then I clocked it so that I have room for the wire and everything, so it's easy access to get in and out. So this tape here is my tape line for when I'm ready to, that I can cut it off flush with the body of the truck. And then through work, I was doing a delivery somewhere, and they had these. Now, these are too small for the pipe unless I wanted it to go inside like that. But my point is that I will cut these apart in different sections to go around my fender to reinforce that exit of the fender. I grabbed a couple of these that I had seen there. That turbo that's on that Blazer is a T6 flange. This is a spare one that I had. It just made me think of it as I was looking at it. So we are going to use a center punch, and we will center punch that hole. And then coming over into here, maybe not up here. I will use this bigger step bit to make the hole in there, and then we will weld that back in place there. And then after that, I believe we'll be pretty close, ready to fire that thing up, which we'll get that on video as well. All right, guys, I'm going to get to work here, and I'll get back to you in just a few minutes. All right, guys, as you can see, holes cut. You step bit. And that's where we're going to be. Oh. Right up like that. We're going to weld that on there. We're going to scuff this up a little bit here with a flap disc. Right there. And we're going to MIG that thing on there and get this Holley O2 sensor. Hopefully it's good. It came out of the donor vehicle that the 4.8 came out of. That's a whole story in itself. It was actually a deal. That 4.8, that turbo, the turbo kit, the Holley, the fuel system, and everything came out of a 95 Mustang GT. That was basically kind of like a grudge car sort of thing. It was kind of rusty underneath, but I had a Trailblazer SS that I made a deal and traded for that Blazer and that Mustang, and then I stripped the Mustang to build the Blazer. Figured I could put everything from the Mustang in the Blazer, but there was so much stuff that didn't work out, and it took me so much longer than it was. But this is where we're at now with it. I'm always wheeling and dealing and trading and buying and selling stuff, so who knows? You got something I might need, or you see something in my videos that you might need. I might be interested in selling it or trading it or whatever. Vehicles, bikes, golf carts, whatever. So, all right, guys, let me get back to this. All right, guys, we got this bung all laid in here and welded in, and if I say so myself, I mean, that's not too bad. Every once in a while, like they say, a blind squirrel finds the nut, right? So there we are with that. We'll get this set back up, maybe cut down before we put it back in the truck, and see what she looks like. Well, there she is. We cut her. Kind of a weird funky point there. I don't know, maybe I should have kind of come in there, but whatever, it's metal. We cut it. I don't know, my O2 sensor might give me some weird funky readings there. We'll see. I'm no professional, as I said. Just gonna try it, see what works, get it back on there, see what she looks like, and if I gotta weld it back together, guess what? I gotta weld it back together. And guys, if you're wondering, this is the MIG welder I use, an Eastwood MIG 175. Nothing special. This is my little workshop. And, sorry for the jankiness of the camera. It's just a little, you know, 12 by 12 room. Shelves upstairs. Look at that. Good old Glory right there. That's right. And, well, I come out here and I work everything underneath my carport. Yes, I live in a trailer. Mobile home, manufactured home, whatever. I don't care what you call it. Some people get hurt feelings over saying it's a mobile home or a trailer instead of a manufactured home. Well, to me, it don't matter. It's a house. Put my head down, go to sleep there. That's all that matters, and it's dry. So, all right, guys, let's get this thing back in that hole there, all fixed up to there, and see where we're at. All right, guys, threw it back in there. Looks like we could trim some more off of this. I don't know how much more I want to do. And put that cap around that there. I don't want to stick it out too far in there, but I'm kind of questioning my O2 bung placement now. Seems like it's kind of close to the edge out here, but oh well, she's in. Like I said, we're gonna try it. If nothing else, we plug that hole and we put another one here or something. But that's gonna do it for tonight. All right, guys, I have fired this once. This isn't the first fire up, but I was having trouble turning it over, and my coils down there, when I put them on that bracket, I had the harness flipped around. And watching on other people's YouTube channels, they were talking about that, how that a lot of people do that and that ends up happening. So let's give her a fire up here and see how she's doing. Alright, guys, as I said earlier in this video about my O2 sensor there, thought I was reading it that it needed to be 18 inches from the turbo. And this is a learning channel, and I just learn things every day, like anyone else. And it actually means it's supposed to be 18 inches from the end of the pipe in, and because it gets a false reading. And if you look at my run video on the screen of the Terminator X handheld, the air fuel is all over the place because right there is the O2 sensors right there, so it's getting that fresh air in there and it's really screwing things up. So we will have to change that and put another bung somewhere up in here somewhere and plug this one over here. Now, the other situation that I had today was, as you see, I don't have coils on my valve covers. My coils have been moved. I can come in this way a little better. I run a motor plate, so I mounted my coils onto just a piece of aluminum, which is bolted fast to the original engine mounts. So when you do that, you change that harness down there, like right there where that plug goes in there, the harness that comes in these plugs in right there, right there, right there. So that harness, when you take it off you got to make sure that you're plugging it back into the correct coil. So there are 4 wires that go to it. 3 of them are the same for each one, and then there's what they call like an exciter wire or a signal wire. Those are color coded per coil. So here we are on the driver's side, and if you're having an issue with that harness, and what it does, it's kind of like an HEI distributor, and it pops and bangs like just like the firing order is out of place, because it's exactly what it is the firing order is out of order. So on the driver's side, on the right side, this is 1, 3, 5, and 7. And you know, here would be number 7 gets a red wire, number 5 is the green wire, number 3 is the blue wire, and number 1 is the purple wire. And that's how you get those, make sure they're wired in correctly. Now let's go over the passenger side here. It's a little dark, but we're on the passenger side here. Now, this is going to be 2, 4, 6, and 8. So on this side, number 2 is red, number 4 is green, number 6 is blue, and your number 8 is purple. Basically just flip-flopped. And that's what I had going on here to begin with at first, was I just had everything flip-flopped. I know it was just creating like a popcorn scenario, backfiring through the pipe and whatnot. I spent probably a day or so cranking on this thing, trying to get it figured out. And, well, that's what I came up with. And I figured that out by looking at the Avalanche over there. I pulled that harness apart and looked to see if there were different color wires going for different cylinders, and I noticed that there was. And then ironically got on the YouTube channel for a shop, and they explained that whole spiel going on there. So as you see, the truck does run, move. I think I have a problem with my shifter. I need a better Power Glide shifter. This was a 3-speed shifter, and somebody welded a gate in for it to be Power Glide. I don't think it's lining up with the cable. I don't think it's pulling correctly for the gears. If I pull it back in first, it does nothing. Pull it in the second, and it'll idle and spin the tires. Same thing in reverse. But I also think I got something going on in my wiring down here. That there is for the solid state relay, and that is for the trans brake. And for whatever reason, I haven't configured the Holley Terminator X yet for my outputs and my inputs. This was previously used in another car, and I believe it had it set up on its fan outputs, and I think that's what's actually triggering my trans brake to come on when I pull it in first, before I'm ever even on the gas or doing anything. So still got a lot of touching up to do, but we're making good progress. Everything up here, the motor sounded a little noisy when it first fired up, but as it warmed up, it sounded better. Turbo looks good, everything spins good. I think I might have to rescale my sensors. Fuel pressure reads like 107, 109 pounds, which doesn't seem correct. Oil pressure was very, like, it won't show oil pressure when you're cranking, but shows when it's running. It only shows like 38 pounds or so. Even when you rev it, it only gets up to being like, 40, 45 pounds, which I don't think that's correct, because this motor is fresh, and it had way more oil pressure than that before I pulled it out of the car that it came from. I checked the oil and all that kind of stuff in it, and that's all good. And my temperature sensor was saying that the car was like 250 some degrees, and I was shooting it with a temp gun, and it only ever got up to 150 degrees. So we got things to work on. I got to bleed the brakes yet all the way around, because I had replaced a brake line on there to do the line lock on there. Like I said, need a shifter. I'd like to find a shifter for Power Glide that has the line lock button in the shifter, in the ball already. I'm looking for that. And then I think I need to rewire my power setup, because I have the power into my on-off switch, from the on-off switch up to this lug right there, which goes through the firewall, and that's what the main power picks up for the starter and runs up for the alternator. Problem is that if I snatch the switch off and the truck is running, the alternator keeps powering everything, because this power board here gets power off of that as well. It comes from there around into this solenoid here. So I've got to rethink that and see how that plays out. I'm unsure. Like I said, I'm learning all this stuff just like you guys are. So we'll get it figured out and get her together and get her going. But please like, comment, subscribe, and we'll check you out in the next one. Oh yeah, one more thing, guys. The manifold, anybody have experience with the manifold air temperature sensor? I've looked online and they said you get the ones from like a Trailblazer SS or just an LS1 car or something. I did that. I ordered 2 of them off of Rock Auto. One is a plastic body, one is a brass body, but none of them, they're not threaded in anywhere. They don't have threads on them. They're like a push-in with a rubber grommet. So I was wondering if anybody had some ideas if there is a threaded one. If you could comment maybe what the part number is or point me in the right direction, you know, so I can possibly drill and tap. I know my high-rise has an open spot, but it's not threaded, and it's too small to fit those ones, the manifold air temperature sensors that I have. It's too small to fit a grommet and that sensor in there. It have to all come back apart and get drilled out or whatever, which ain't the end of the world. I could do that. Just seeing if there was a simpler solution before I had to take it all back apart for that. And then the other issue I'm having is, like I said, that Terminator X came out of like a parts car, basically. It was a swapped 95 Mustang GT that I ended up stripping for all the things, the motor, trans, all that stuff went into this Blazer. The SD card is missing from the handheld, and I can't update the handheld. It has firmware 2.8 in it, and then the new firmware that's on my laptop is 3.0. And it says it won't update because the SD card is not ready and there's no SD card there. And a lot of the changes I can't make in it. Like I need to change the inputs and the outputs around for like launch retard and my trans brake and boost retard and all that kind of stuff. And I can't do that with just the handheld. For some reason it won't. Like I can bring those inputs and outputs up, but it won't allow me to change them and assign them different things. So I need my laptop to do that. So if anybody has any insight on what I can do about the SD card, I have read that I can go get no higher than an 8 gig or 8 meg SD card, just a generic one, can put it in there. Some people have said Holley has them that I can purchase with the firmware already on it. But and that's the thing, my laptop won't connect into it because the firmware is 2.8, not 3.0. So if anybody can give me some insight, give me some ideas on what's the easiest solution on this SD card. Can I just buy one, pop it in there, or you know, I'm not real computer savvy, so I know I read somewhere it says you need to download it and then zip file it and drag and drop it over here and stuff. I need layman's terms. I mean, I'm not real good with all that kind of stuff. So if you have any ideas or have leave them in the comments, maybe send me a message, find me on social media, Scott Schenkel on Facebook, and Scott Schenkel Racing on Instagram, and you know, help me out there and give me some ideas or what's the easiest solution for these things. Again, like, comment, subscribe, and I don't know, maybe we can get it to the track soon. All right, guys, talk to you later.